really don't understand. Freedom has many difficulties, but we have never had to put a wall up to keep our people in.
Welcome to the Leo Zagami Show. This is an extraordinary show because this is an extra show. Thanks to our sponsors, this week we are present also on Wednesday.
Wow. We're here.
So
Thank you, Daniel Estes.
Daniel Estes today is our sponsor for this extra show. How are you going to call it?
Extra show.
Well, yes, we will try to be present at least 2 times a week, but because we were also supposed to be here last week for an extra show, this week is going to be
2 extra shows.
2 extra shows. So either tomorrow, Friday, we will be back with another Leo Zagami show. In the meantime, let's start by thanking, of course, our sponsor, and we will move on with the news of the day. We knew that this will happen. I mean, I've been writing about it on leozagami.com, but the Pope now is, of course, attacking directly Donald J. Trump and J.D. Vance. Why is that, Christy? I mean, this guy is really out of order. He has these big, tall walls, but he still wants to say that we need to let everybody in.
His agenda.
Is his agenda? Well, the Pope has addressed a letter to the bishops of the United States of America. We have this letter here that we can show you. And, of course, there is some positive news coming in today with Donald J. Trump, who had a long conversation with Vladimir Putin, who invited him to Moscow. He invited him instead here in America. And we will finally see the end of this war, as promised by Donald J. Trump. This useless war in Ukraine needs to end as soon as possible for the joys of all those families who have, of course, lost their loved ones. This is fantastic news, but also for all those people like us who had to pay for a war we never wanted, and we ended up with an enormous bill.
Even before he left, he was giving money to Zelensky.
Yes, I mean, Joe Biden and his crime family syndicate, how you want to define it, has bankrupt America with this hideous war. But of course, behind Joe Biden, the second Catholic president in U.S. history, there is a Pope called Pope Francis, who has addressed this letter in condemnation for the mass deportations, and immediately Tom Homan replied, and Tom Homan, of course, replied in his own style, and I think that he did the right thing. The Pope needs to stay in his place and need to address matters of religion, not of politics, but that's unfortunately not happening with Pope Francis. Tom Homan slammed the Pope over his criticism yesterday.
This morning had some very harsh words for the...
I got harsh words for the Pope. Pope wants to fix the Catholic Church. I'm saying this as a lifelong Catholic. I was baptized Catholic. I was first communion as a Catholic, confirmation as a Catholic. He ought to fix the Catholic Church and concentrate on his work and leave border enforcement to us. He wants to attack us for securing our border. He's got a wall around the Vatican, does he not? So he's got a wall around to protect his people and himself, but we can't have a wall around the United States. So I wish he'd stick to the Catholic Church and fix that and leave border enforcement to us.
After meeting with ICE about making sure that migrants don't get back into the country, how did that go? You said you'd be talking with ICE.
No, it wasn't back in the country. There's a learning curve. I mean, I found out that ICE, some of the people they arrested, they released back in the community because there's some of the personnel are still acting on the last 4 years of non-enforcement and releasing people for various reasons. That ends. So I talked to ICE, and the acting director of ICE has sent instructions out, and no one's to be released after we arrest them without the clearance of headquarters. There's going to be a significant medical issue we can't take care of, and of course there'll be some, but the number of releases were unacceptable, and that's been fixed.
And we have also discovered in the last few days that the FBI might have actually given information to the interested parties about these raids. As you know, the FBI is still not in Kash Patel's hands, and we hope that's going to change soon so we can reform this hideous institution that apparently is working in violation of the law with the other officials from the Biden era. And on top of that, we have all these judges that suddenly are capable of blocking the executive power and of course blocking the mass deportation is one of the things that these hideous judges have tried, along with other things like their condemnation of Trump's reform of all these various federal agencies and institutions that have been throwing money out of the window. At times, like FEMA, $59 million only for helping the immigrants stay in this hotel in Manhattan. I mean, come on, guys, this has to end. And so we are very glad that this is happening here in America. But of course, Pope Francis himself is not happy about what is happening. Also, because, like we said on Saturday, USAID is one of those organizations that has given money to initiatives by the Jesuits. And so, of course, now Trump is an enemy of Pope Francis because Pope Francis is cutting the money. This is also been stated by Vigano. And there is an article here from Forbes that says these are the top USAID recipients, from religious groups to major US companies as Trump target agency. And of course, in these USAID organizations that benefited from their budget of 3.4 billion each year, there was a lot of Catholic organizations, and these Catholic organizations are just are not gonna go away without saying anything. Organizations like the Catholic Relief Services, who got 4.6 billion, and then you have other organizations that of course are getting money and are connected to the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church is a crime syndicate. That's what they are. And in fact, I want to get Christy to read this article that was published regarding what Vigano is saying, because Vigano, as you know, he was the Nuncio Apostolico, basically the ambassador, the Vatican ambassador, once upon a time here in the United States. Then he was eventually excommunicated by Pope Francis for exposing him. And Vigano is exposing why Pope Francis is pushing back on President Trump's immigration policies, saying that it's all about the money.
Imagine that.
Imagine that. Well, Pope Francis is a criminal like all of the Jesuits. But what's written here, Christine?
On February 10th, 2025, Pope Francis, who resides in the Vatican, a city-state surrounded by a formidable 39-foot wall, penned a letter to U.S. bishops decrying what he describes as harsh immigration policies of President Donald Trump. In his sanctimonious letter, Pope Francis calls on the bishops to defend the infinite and transcendent dignity of every human person amidst what he terms a major crisis with mass deportations. Outspoken Catholic leader Archbishop Carlo Maria Vigano has responded to the letter and called out Red Francis.
Main concern is not about migrants, immigrants, but about losing the steady flow of American tax dollars in the church coffers for immigrant services. The recent exposure of the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID, that we actually exposed in the last episode of the Leo Zagami show, which got a lot of views, especially on Bando video.
Yeah.
And I think it's a very important show. So if you haven't followed the past show from Saturday dedicated to the suspension of USAID, please go and check it out, because the Jesuits are behind this later attempted sabotage, which sees all these Democrats shouting against Musk and Trump. And a myriad of NGOs have received money, of course, American taxpayers' money that went to enrich global causes, censorship, the media, yes, because a lot of the mainstream media in America and abroad especially has been sponsored and financed with USAID money. So all the media that hates Donald J. Trump and continues to hate Donald J. Trump,
They were paid to hate him.
yeah, of course. Soros put a bit of money, but Soros likes to also use other people's money because that's how he is. So according to, and here it says, according to Forbes, Catholic Relief Services was the top recipient, like I showed a moment ago, of funding from the USAID. CRS, a nonprofit, received $4.6 billion from 2013 to 2022. Other top recipients include the Chemonics International, for-profit organization that received 4.5 million, and other organization.
Billion.
Yeah, billions. And Vigano writes, Jorge Bergoglio, please read here.
Jorge Bergoglio's letter to the bishops of the United States is the most obvious admission of the effectiveness of the measures adopted by the Trump administration to counter the operation of ethnic substitution desired by the globalist elite through mass immigration from the third world. Bergoglio cannot allow the exorbitant flow of public money paid to the USCCB and to Catholic foundations and NGOs to be interrupted, starting with the American Jesuits.
You see, finally now, guys, we broke this news before everybody else. The Jesuits are really upset. So it is confirmed now also by the Getaway Pundit.
And used not to promote works of authentic Christian charity, but rather to support of the globalist plan for social dissolution. For this reason, he seeks to give a doctrinal basis to the indiscriminable welcoming of illegal immigrants, even inappropriately invoking the magisterium of Pope Pius the 12th. The words of the Argentine Jesuit contradict themselves if they were true and disinterested. We should have heard them much earlier, when the Biden administration took away the wages of American citizens who did not submit to the inoculation of the so-called vaccine. In that case, concern for the infinite dignity of all yielded to the dictates of the same subversive elites who planned the ethnic substitution, the same group of elites who used taxpayers' money to fund the Vatican, the USCCB, the ultra-progressive Jesuits who support the woke left, and the entire constellation of the charitable organizations.
As you see, the Jesuits are always the ones that in the end are behind everything. And of course, they're behind also this attack, frontal attack on the MAGA movement by Pope Francis. It's never happened before, but this time it's pretty clear that we have an enemy in Pope Francis. This is also confirmed by couple of articles that came out on Newsweek, out of all places. Newsweek, of course, has always been anti-Trump, but in this case, they say, as Pope Francis condemned Trump, Vatican cracks down on own border. So they are actually cracking down on their own border while they are condemning us.
Hypocrite.
Yeah, absolutely. Francis, the first Latin American pontiff, rebuked Trump in a letter criticizing mass deportation this week, calling on him and Vice President J.D. Vance to meditate constantly on the parable of the Good Samaritan. Whatever, Pope Francis, whatever. People can now be fined between $10,200 to $25,700 and face up to 4 years in prison for trespassing into the Vatican.
And they will take that money.
and they will lock you in their jails.
Yeah, totally.
Because usually they use the Italian police to do their dirty deeds and jobs. The document that the Pope has, this decree that the Pope has issued, is rather recent. So the Vatican cracks down on illegal entry into its own territory, while instead they're criticizing us. Kind of hypocrisy. This is just out of this world hypocrisy, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is the Leo Zagami Show with Leo and Christy in this special show for this Wednesday, yes, 12th of February of the year of the Lord 2025. We are discussing the attack that Trump is being subject to by Pope Francis. And I knew that this attack was coming. I wrote about it even before Trump was inaugurated. I've been writing for weeks about how Pope Francis,
after him.
Yes, and Pope Francis will come out of the closet as his main enemy. And Pope rebukes Trump over mass deportation in letter to U.S. bishops. That this is now pretty clear that it says white matter. Francis, the first Latin has long championed the rights of migrants. Yeah, sure. The rights of migrants? No. Pope Francis has championed the rights of his NGOs that keep on getting money and keep on filling us with illegal migrants so they can change the whole political geography of the United States of America, because he's letting in, millions of, pushing millions of South Americans, Central Americans that are brainwashed by the Jesuit way of Catholicism, which is a specific progressive way by the theology of liberation and all that BS, and pushing them into the United States to change forever and ruin the American dream with these scumbags, including the ones from the gangs that Tom Homan has been working to send back to their places, to their health zones of origin, or wherever they come from, or maybe send them to Gitmo, or send them to El Salvador. Now, these judges who have tried to stop this process have not been that successful, because, when you have people who are, of course, defying the executive branch, and they are trying to intervene with their judiciary nonsense, in the end, the response has to be simply to ignore them. And I think that these judges and also those mayors, those people within cities. I'm talking about blue cities, governed by the Democrats, who are protecting in their sanctuary cities these criminals. Well, they should also be arrested, and I hope that will happen sooner rather than later. However, there is all kinds of crazy things happening, and this is probably one of the most insane. Last night in Worcester, Massachusetts, they voted to create a new sanctuary city for the LGBTQ, whatever, transgender. They need also some kind of sanctuary for their butthole, sorry.
To protect me because the federal government won't. And if you think you're afraid of Trump, you should see how afraid of Trump I am.
Can you wrap up, please?
Yes.
She's afraid of Trump. She's afraid of Trump. She's afraid of Trump. Ooh.
If you say that you're afraid of Trump and that's why you don't want the city to be a safe space for trans people, you better prepare for trans people to make this a very unsafe space.
I'm shaking right now. I don't want to be here.
Please?
I'm sorry, am I taking too long pleading for my life?
You remembered how many children I have and that 2 of them are trans.
I speak as both the B and the T in the LGBT.
I'm multiply disabled. I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which
You are sick in the head, like most people in that room. Sick in the head. You see, what is happening here in Palm Springs? Because I know that there is a lot of discussion. I mean, Palm Springs is like really no need to say. This is the most flamboyant city in the United States of America, where they even give you money if you put a wig and pretend to be a woman. So what's happening here in Palm Springs?
Well, what I believe is that it's not real news. They say that there's a rise in hate crimes here in Palm Springs, and like, for instance, the gay pride flag was vandalized, and then there was something that happened downtown with 3 people, and they just, because 2 of them were transgender, and one of them, but they were all in the same group. Okay. So all these people, but they're just like, they're blowing it out of proportion. I believe that, when the last 4 years, they were really pushing on us their agenda. And right now, nobody is bothering them. We just don't want that agenda like in our schools, and we don't want it pushed on our kids and stuff, but nobody is targeting them. Nobody is doing anything. And in this town, which is primarily gay or old people, there is no hate. There's no hate crime. If anything, I mean, I was the victim of a hate crime at the Marilyn Monroe statue, and that really did happen. Some BLM people came up to me and just attacked me, basically called me a privileged white woman and a lot of other stuff. And it was just really, I mean, I felt really like attacked in that moment. And I had to leave. And that was the first time I had ever been there. So I was a victim of a hate crime during, it was like during those riots. The president was Trump during the time, but I mean, it was during those riots. Floyd, immediately after when the women were bowing down and doing that crap and really like setting us back so far as a woman, I was just completely appalled by what was happening and what people were doing. I mean, how can you act like that? We've come so far as women, and then you just set us back, and then you say you're for the women's rights. So, okay, I'm off of my thing, but I mean, I just think it's fake news. I think it's fake.
Somebody was asking us
too. I mean, I think it's fake.
Somebody was asking us to discuss the subject of druidism, which I discussed on my Italian show today. I will actually discuss it in my next show. It's going to be the subject of exploring the Illuminati occult that we will have in the next couple of days. So no worries, that is a specific subject that we will touch for the English audience. Druidism is a very important branch of the Illuminati, and so we will address it with a specific show. But there is different things have happened here in Palm Springs in the last few days regarding these hate crimes. Yeah.
It just says that they're calling for action. There was this place downtown called Monster Shake, and they were saying that there were bigots that were yelling things. And then there's supposedly some guy in Cathedral City that has a bullhorn, and he's yelling out, like, you cannot, oh my God, say any like racial slurs. Anything that is considered like a racial slur in this town is like completely, oh my God. So he's supposedly yelling like racial slurs. So with a bullhorn, but nobody can catch him.
Nobody can catch him.
I don't know what he's saying. He could be saying anything really, but he's probably insulting them. But who knows? But anyway, that's just another thing. And I have more news, but I can save that for the end.
No, please.
No, do you want me to do the news? Yeah, I was going to do like this special segment.
Well, please, just tell us what you have boiling here.
Okay. So.
Because we had the incredible news that the Kardashians.
Oh, that's just okay. That wasn't my top news.
No, but they have a villa here.
No, Kim Kardashian. She's been in default for not paying her fine. She has an $8 million. A Palm Springs mansion that she's like she's fixing it up and doing all this stuff to it, and you need permits to build, and she's like not paying her permit things, and so they've suspended the whole thing, and so it's just sitting there. It's something that she got from Kanye West, like it was with their divorce in 2019.
Okay,
so that is the Kim Kardashian thing I had.
But actually, she was supposed to pay something like $5,000.
It was just $5,000,
but she doesn't want to pay.
It's funny how these celebrities don't pay their bills and they get everything for free. So, and then people like us, we're very responsible and pay all our fees and all our this and all our that. And then they just think that they can just not, because they think they're above the law. So anyway, okay. So there are 6 earthquakes in California.
Yes, so that is
in the last
a little
48
bit
hours. Wait, I'll tell you when they were. Okay, so there was a 3.5 on Monday in San Bernardino, followed by a 3.0 minutes later, and then on Tuesday there was a 3.1, a 4.1 later, a 3.0, and a 4.5. And usually like they're warning of they're worried about what might happen next, because usually like these little earthquakes like this that come all together like this are significant to a bigger event.
Well, the big one,
because it was all along the San Andreas Fault. So anyway, that was my news.
Well, we're talking about the possibility of a magnitude 8.0. I mean, there's been a lot of talk about this big one in the last few days. I can show you, in fact, what has been said, at least in the local news, and it's pretty worrying. A preliminary 4.1 magnitude earthquake strikes Northern California coast. 3.6 magnitude earthquake rattles San Bernardino, which is closer to us. Areas for the quake of San Bernardino shaken by. I mean,
yeah, that was all the ones I said.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's definitely, it seems to be something happening or in the process of happening.
And so, then there's also this weather event of this rain that's coming, and we all know that they had that earthquake there, and now we're expecting like this what do they call it, atmospheric
river.
Yeah,
so let's see what's going to happen.
I
mean, in the meantime, of course, they are proceeding with the cleanup of the areas that have been devastated by the fires in LA, and there is a lot of poisonous substances. So we hope that they can remove them as soon as possible before the rain starts flooding everything. And that would be, of course, a disaster on top of a disaster. We are in California, guys, and we have, of course, as you know, a governor who is completely incompetent. But let's go back to this.
I vote for you. You for governor.
Oh, thank you very much. In any case, here we are with more of that nonsense from Massachusetts.
Disorder that causes me immense physical pain. I'm on the autism spectrum, and I have narcolepsy, and I couldn't drive myself here, so I had to hide from my driver that I was in drag, which is not an easy thing to do in drag.
I do not want to be here. It's my day off. I do not want to be in your DMs. I do not want to be in your email inboxes. I do not want my creativity writing diss tracks like Kendrick. I don't want to spend an hour applying glitter on my face so that you will hear and see me. I want you to listen to me.
Let us remember that the Nazis burned the books that the Nazis burned books on gender sciences first. Now the administration has villainized and marginalized migrant workers, trans, LGBT people.
I think this guy needs to learn how to read first, but this is the kind of crazy.
They're never
lunatic.
organized. They're very angry,
and they keep on being crazy lunatics. They don't get it. They have lost because they are a bunch of crazy lunatics, and they continue being crazy lunatics.
And even special needs, denying life-saving and affirming care.
Can you look at me and tell me how many of my friends need to die before you do anything?
No, I think if I look at you, you should go on another planet. Sorry, ugly. Inside and outside. These people are insane.
Please wrap
Look
up.
at me!
Okay, we're all done here.
Fucking pathetic!
We're all done. Come on.
Of course, we need to continue celebrating Black History Month because in spite of what's coming down from Washington, we all know that we all exist and we all need to be recognized for our existence.
What is the problem with this purple hair?
you hate purple hair.
It's something sick.
He really
hates
purple hair.
I don't understand what is purple hair. It's just like when I see this purple hair, I know they're sick libtards, and that's what they are.
That you are a guest in my house when you come. And when you come, know that there are strong queer and trans people in my classroom who will collect you with the quickness.
My name in drag is Dee Dee Delight.
Who cares?
And my name out of drag is Dewey Cosgrove Atienza.
Laddie LaRouge, he, they, in drag, District 3.
My legal name is Olivia D'Ambrosio.
I mean, these people just...
I don't want to hear it anymore. I really don't.
They're totally sick. They're totally sick. I mean, they let the asylums open up and these people rampant and then they say we have rights. No, you are insane. You are insane. You shouldn't have any right. Mental illness is okay. We can tolerate it, but you don't have the rights of saying suddenly, you are this, that, and all. I mean, what is this? What is this?
Is Livy Scanlon. My wife and I own a home in the Canal District.
I speak as someone who is always misgendered, like all the time. People refer to me as sir when I prefer to be referred to as ma'am. I speak as someone who is afraid to use public toilets.
Oh my God!
I speak as someone who is a member
Please
of this
don't come in my
community
bathroom.
and is a queer person.
Yeah, but it's moving.
That's what is, they want to come in the girls' bathroom, and that's obviously a guy.
Huh?
All right, I don't want to.
Why don't you just move all to the Vatican, and I'm sure you will be welcome in the Vatican because that's really the ideal place for this kind of people. They will love you, absolutely adore you, and there's a lot of cocaine in the Vatican.
You have to imagine being me and my wife, fearing that our marriage rights will be stripped away at any moment.
Please, I only have so much time. Please, Joe's gonna cut me off.
Which matters more? Covering the legal fees of systemic police brutality or protecting the lives of queer people in our...
Kissy said it was too loud. No, it's not too loud. It's that these people are insane.
I think you're the only one that's enjoying this.
I'm not enjoying it. I'm just showing everybody the insanity at work here. These are the enemies of real America. And I mean, I can tolerate them, but because these people are actually on the verge of committing crimes and not, I mean, they are on the verge of attacking the straight heterosexual population, because the moment they are going to go completely loose, these people are going to become terrorists. I'm pretty sure that's what they're
It'll be
going
like zombie apocalypse, transgender zombie apocalypse.
And then on top of that, you have a reverend who is actually inviting a certain pastor, Steve Cuddle, who calls for conflict and violence against Elon Musk. Now, I'm not crazy about Elon Musk.
Oh, that's not right.
But you can't call for conflict and violence, especially if you are a reverend. This is what the left is offering us today. Insane.
In this nation, I'm worried that we are on the verge of bloodshed. This is an attempt to take us back to a day that we do not want to go, and we will not go. So therefore, there will be conflict. I pray that the peace of God will...
You see, they want conflict. These people and the people...
Did he just say, I pray for conflict? Did I hear it wrong?
No,
win out and overcome the madness that is attempting to take over this nation. And I will say to you, beloved, no one likes violence, but sometimes violence is necessary. When Elon Musk forces his way into the United States Treasury and threatens to steal your personal information and your Social Security check, there is the possibility of violence.
I think they should call the Secret Service, because this is a threat to somebody who is borrowing his time to the Trump administration and who is obviously being threatened.
Sometimes the devil will act so ugly that you have no other choice but to get violent and fight. Well, someone might say, now, Reverend, you shouldn't be talking about violence. This isn't the Christian thing to do. Well, I will say, why not talk this way? Because Jesus did. Jesus said in this key verse, didn't he? The kingdom of heaven suffers what? Violence. And the who? The violent take it by force. The kingdom of God is a war zone. It is a battlefield.
Yeah, of course, in the hands of these lunatics.
How many lives have to be lost before you consider fighting back against fascism and corruption?
You see, these people are they are fomenting violence. But do they realize what kind of outcome there would be? Because, I don't think, if I get a queer guy in front of me with a machine gun, I tell you, I'm not scared. I'm not scared because I might actually kill him. And he has the machine gun. These people are insane, and they are really on the tipping point to become dangerous. And that's the big problem here that we need to address. Pope Francis, on top of it all, fomenting, of course, his own thing, is part of this problem. Because then these people say, oh, well, we can rely on Pope Francis. He's with us. He's with us. He also hates... Now we're going to see something big happening in the next couple of weeks. And that's going to happen in LA, because Tom Homan is planning one of the biggest ICE raids in this city of hell, which is Los Angeles.
He needs to do it.
And he needs to do it, but it's going to be because locally, the local institutions are all built with Soros money. They are all anti-Trumpians. It's enemy territory. And so the federal authorities will have to front this problem like they did in other cities, where unfortunately they tipped off these criminals, these illegal immigrants, and then they ended up. Then on top of that, we have this whole LGBT issue, which is a non-issue because Trump is there dancing on stage with the village people, and they are going insane. For what reason? What I would like to know. What kind of rights did Trump take from you? The fact that you can't participate in women's sports? Well, that is, I think, a very good thing.
It's just we got some rights back as women. That's what happened. We don't have to see men in our bathroom anymore. That's what happened. Trump gave rights back to women.
Yeah, absolutely.
Women need to be protected, and that's true. I'm not a feminist, but it's true.
I think the situation now with these people and their whole, I mean, now Pam Bondi has announced a lawsuit against the New York governor. We just saw what has happened with, of course, the mayor of New York getting himself a suspension of whatever accusation he was, because, of course, the mayor of New York is now more and more pro-Trumpian, is more and more anti-unlawful immigration. He went against basically the policies of his sanctuary city. Well, that was enough for him to get in a big investigation on, from the Biden DOJ that now has been, of course, suspended, eliminated, whatever. But now, Attorney General Pam Bondi has announced a lawsuit against that hideous governor, Governor Occult, and the state Attorney General, who is another. How can we define these people? I mean, these people are criminals, and they are acting in any way possible to sabotage Trump's policies. And New York State, unfortunately, is a stronghold of these idiots. Now, this is Pam Bondi announcing charges against New York over immigration. You are next. So the mayor of New York has actually helped the Trump administration, but of course, the governor hasn't. So the New York governor, Katie Hochul, and the state attorney general, that hideous Letitia James, who went after Trump for years, are now going to be investigated for allegedly failing to enforce federal immigration laws. And I hope that sooner or later these Democrats start to get arrested, or at least get something back for their hideous. I mean, Letitia James is like somebody who got elected because she promised to go after Trump, and she did go after Trump, but in the most unlawful and illegal way. These people continue. They're crazy, all of them.
Money relies on the dehumanization of trans people, that we don't want your goddamn money.
I get that some of you care more about easy funding than trans lives, and don't mind Nazis for some whatever reason, but...
Normally I would say good evening, but through the chair, I will only impart my sour grapes.
It's an extremely emotional and taxing thing to stand up here as someone, as part of the trans and gender diverse community.
Whatever. And then somebody showing up with a mask. We're in the year 2025.
District 5, and I'm speaking in support of agenda items 10B and 14B.
No comment, because if I start talking, no comment. I think that really we need to have a lot of tolerance for these people. They're mentally ill, of course. We are understood that. The whole of the Democratic Party is mentally ill and deranged. Until they don't get dangerous, that's okay. But when they will become dangerous, then it's going to become a civil war. I don't know if they want a civil war, especially because we have understood that they're not that capable with weapons, and they are actually very squeamish, and they hide as soon as somebody shoots in the, oh, I'm going to go away. So I don't think they have a future in the United States of America, these people. But they continue, and that is the crazy thing here. They have lost the elections, and the Democratic Party, instead of reacquiring some sanity, is going even more mentally deranged. Chrissy, what do you think about that? Because, I mean, it's like psychologically, you don't want to suicide your party, but that's what they're doing. They're suiciding their own party.
Made me cough.
No, why they are suiciding their own party? I mean, it's like, you know, you have a party, it's in crisis. We have understood that this party has done the wrong moves and they have lost elections. Instead of correcting course, they go even further into the, I mean, guys, for us it's great, but it doesn't, I mean, I don't know, it's just like, almost impossible to explain. There is no sanity in this way of doing things, of shouting, going like those hideous Democrat politicians out and shouting, Elon Musk, come here, you're a criminal, you're this and that. Elon Musk is simply somebody who's working for Donald J. Trump, who is unelected, of course.
He's not even working. He's not even getting paid.
He's working, but he's working for free.
Yeah.
And he's doing, what Americans want them to do, which is to go and check out every single waste in the government institutions. This waste has made America in debt for trillions. If we don't correct our course very soon, this nation is bankrupt. And so I think that it's very important, the job that Doge is doing these days. But everybody focuses, on the little kid, the big balls here, big balls there, and all that. I mean, come on. We need to mature a little bit. And I'm saying the Democrats don't seem to have a new leadership. Barack Hussein Obama is, of course, hiding, because he lives in hiding these days, apart from the fact that everybody's saying he's divorcing with this. We don't care. But he was the guy in charge of the Biden presidency. And so he is, of course, the big loser. But who is going to be the future of the Democratic Party? We have Congressman Ilhan Omar, who is basically wants to, criticize everything when she is herself, a very despicable character, to say the least. And so let's look at the positive things at the moment. Of course, people are pissed off. 59 million wasted in FEMA money spent on housing migrants in New York luxury hotels. This is a very bad thing. We need to correct this kind of thing. And we need to correct all these institutions who have thrown money out of the window. But at the same time, we have to make this a better country. And I think at least that what has happened today with Putin inviting Trump to Moscow to discuss ending the war in Ukraine is a great thing. But we also want our money back from Ukraine. We want our money back from Zelensky, because Zelensky is an actor, comedian, then politician, who has been a puppet in the hands of the American deep state. And this means a lot of money has been lost, approximately 500 billion. And that's why now Donald J. Trump wants that money back in rare minerals.
You can get a deal. Do you keep sending American weapons until you do?
No, what I'm saying is the following. They have tremendously valuable land in terms of rare earth, in terms of oil and gas, in terms of other things. I want to have our money secured, because we're spending hundreds of billions of dollars. And, they may make a deal, they may not make a deal, they may be Russian someday, or they may not be Russian someday, but we're going to have all this money in there. And I say, I want it back. And I told them that I want the equivalent, like $500 billion worth of rare earth. And they've essentially agreed to do that. So at least we don't feel stupid. Otherwise, we're stupid. I said to them, we have to get something. We can't continue to pay this money.
You need to understand that we spent hundreds of billions, and if it was for the Democrats, we will never see that money. Even the European Union has borrowed the money to Zelensky. They actually have given 100 billion, but they said, we are borrowing you the money.
Like a loan.
Yeah, a loan. When instead, America just gives out money like we did for decades with USA aid, and never to come back. We need our money back. Zelensky apparently has spoken with Trump earlier after he spoke with Putin, after Trump spoke with Putin, and has agreed to give him this 500 billion in rare earth, which is very important for our technology. That means we can maybe postpone the invasion of Greenland, though I will still invade Greenland because I really hate those degenerate socialist Danish people. And
Denmark wants to buy California.
That's a joke. That's a joke. That's absolutely a joke. And so at the moment, I mean, I think that we are in good hands because Trump has sent one of his main representatives and is discussing now the money business. I mean, I saw, you know, these idiots in Europe like, oh, but Trump now is asking for money, but we were supposed to defend the Ukrainian ideal. There is no Ukrainian ideal. First of all, this war has started with Barack Hussein Obama, who has orchestrated a coup d'etat in 2014, has then been implemented by Joe Biden in 2022. And we want, I mean, the majority of American people have been frauded of an election in 2020. We can now say that. And we will have never had this war, millions of people dying and the loss of precious lives, like Trump keeps on saying, of beautiful soldiers, of people who, young soldiers that simply have to protect what? Protect what? From what? I mean, it's about, of course, protecting American interests first, and Ukraine is not an American interest. It's maybe a European interest. So why don't the Europeans give 500 billion? Because they don't have 500 billion, and they are in a crisis. Europe is in decline, and it's in a crisis. Let's not forget that the chairman there of the European Union, Ursula von der Leyen, has not even been invited to the inauguration of Donald J. Trump because she's a Nazi, like most Nazis in the European Fourth Reich. That's what I have talked about in Volume 9 of my Confession, which is a very important book to understand the future of Ukraine and why Ukraine was created literally out of thin air 150 years ago by the Illuminati. Get Volume 9 of my Confessions now, and get also Volume 7, which is a book which I published just, I think, even a month prior to the Putin's invasion. Already talked about the invasion, everything that will happen. These are the Occult Roots of the Great Reset of Klaus Schwab, the only book that talks about the Occult Roots of Klaus Schwab, Volume 7 of my Confessions. And guys, we have, of course, this book, the Zagami Family Cookbook. Christy, we have a lot of people that are following us now on X. Please share, because X is all about sharing. So make this video viral on X. And remember, if you want to transform your kitchen in a 5-star Italian restaurant, the Zagami Family Cookbook, authentic Italian cuisine. The recipes are fantastic. They're explained in a really, they are explained very well. So guys, you don't have to be a professional chef, but you will surely impress your partners, your friends and family with this book. The Zagami.
It's nice to have it on the coffee table too.
And then, of course, my latest creation, Volume 11 of my Confessions, the past, present, and future of mind control. Here we talk about the secrets behind the JFK assassination, but also behind the attempted assassination of Donald J. Trump, because on that day, on that 13th of July, there was a mother that a few minutes before Donald J. Trump was almost killed, asked for his son to be freed. Mark Fogel has been released. Finally, this is great. Yay. This is what we were waiting for. And of course, he was greeted by Trump, who seems to never sleep. Huh? Here he is, Donald J. Trump.
How does he do it?
A real president, not a fake president like Joe Biden.
Sleeps.
He never sleeps. He never sleeps. And here he is. Here he is.
And I want you to know that I am not a hero in this at all. And President Trump is a hero. These men that came from the diplomatic service are heroes. The senators and representatives that passed legislation in my honor to get me home are the heroes. I am in awe of what they all did. My family has been a force. I think my 95-year-old mother is probably the most dynamic 95-year-old on earth right now. And I am so indebted to so many people. I think I remember a Churchill quote that he said when the RAF was fighting the Luftwaffe, and he said that never have so many owed so much to so few. And I put myself, fortunately and unfortunately, into that category, and I said, never has one owed so much to so many, that this superorganism of people that came to my support and the love that I was given sustained me for 3.5 years in a prison, that had me in hospitals for more than 100 days. I was given more than 400 injections in that time. And knowing I had the support of my fellow Pennsylvanians, my family, my friends, it was so overwhelming that it brought me to my knees and it brought me to tears, but it was my energy, it was my being that kept me going that whole time. And I will forever be indebted to President Trump, to Steve over there. What a dynamic man this guy is.
That's true. Great. This is really America back in action, back to be a respected country. This was a fair exchange also with Vladimir Putin, who also released more people today, also from his, of course, ally in Belarus. And this is what has been said by the White House spokesperson earlier.
Behind this podium, and I will let him discuss that. Can you tell us any more about the next hostage releases? I understand another American's coming out today.
Sure, I'm glad you asked. It speaks to President Trump's deal-making ability, and we can confirm the safe release of one American and 2 individuals from Belarus, one of whom worked for Radio Liberty. Out of respect for the privacy of these individuals, their request, we have no further details to announce on their identities, but we can confirm that one American was released today, and it's a remarkable victory on the heels of Mark Fogel returning to America last night.
Great results, guys. I mean, promises made, promises kept. That's it. And this election, of course, was too big to rig. Thank God. Now we are back with a president in the White House, not somebody who pretended to be, I don't know what. We never really saw him in the Oval Office. You remember when Joe Biden was pictured with that little table mimicking the Oval Office in some kind of studio? It was just something that brought a sense of shame to millions of Americans every day, having a zombie in the White House. Now we have a president. It's refreshing, very refreshing. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in today. Of course, a message to Pope Francis. Save the Catholic Church from your pedophiles. Go back to religion. Abandon any political interest, because otherwise, one day, this reality that unfortunately still exists will be so far from Jesus that even Jesus will curse you, and you and your bodyguard will be destroyed by the wrath of God, because that's going to happen. That's going to happen one day if they continue. And thank you so much, Christy. Who was today's sponsor who made this possible?
Daniel Estes. Thank you so much for your donation.
Thank you very much, Daniel Estes. We will see you once again this week before our Saturday show, which is, of course, sponsored by our friend Dr. Faro. We might see you either Thursday or Friday, and we will be discussing Druidism. We will go back to our more esoteric style transmission, because it's important, at times, that we go into the esoteric. Crazy things happen, guys, even at the Super Bowl. Check what this woman did. Yes, that's a voodoo doll. That's a voodoo doll, and in real time, this is what happened to one of the players who lost moments. In real time, the evil here is out of proportions. I mean, using voodoo to win a Super Bowl.
It was New Orleans.
Yeah, it was New Orleans. Jeez. Okay. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you want to be amongst the sponsors, GoFundMe or Cash App. And thank you again for tuning in. We will be also broadcasting this, of course, in the coming hours on ban.video. And here we are with Vincenzo Viceversa Medioeval.
In that time, our world has taken so many steps in the wrong direction.
Hey!
In the negative utopia, science, technology, social organization, dehumanization. In the negative utopia, science, technology, social organization. Technology, social organization, dehumanization. Technology, social organization.